Zeeshan Hafeez, Democratic candidate for the newly drawn 33rd Congressional District. Thank you so much and welcome to Eye on Politics.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate you having me here.
You bet. So why are you running and what is the essence of your campaign?
I'm running for a boldly progressive agenda to provide a progressive vision, not only for District 33, but for all of America. I think that too long our politicians have been focused on either the special interests, the corporations, supporting the billionaires, supporting AIPAC and the pro-Israel lobby, instead of focusing in on investing at home. And I'm fighting for an agenda that includes universal health care, Medicare for all, free public education at the university level, providing affordable housing, and doing things that are going to make America better for every American.
So you are going up against a former member of Congress, a current member of Congress, and somebody who has been a community activist for decades. So why should Democratic primary voters select you over them?
Yeah, I think a lot of Democratic primary voters that we're talking to are frustrated with the status quo. I think they've seen that the establishment Democrats have let us down. The country is going and creeping towards an authoritarian takeover by Donald Trump. We see with ICE and their gross injustices that are happening where they're literally murdering people on the streets. We have people with no badges, no uniforms, no IDs, wearing masks, terrorizing communities of color. I'm the candidate who's calling to prosecute and abolish ICE. Meanwhile, Colin and Julie believe it can be reformed. Meanwhile, Julie has profited off of Palantir stock while she's been in Congress. Meanwhile, we have the lack of ability to say, yes, there's a fine line in the sand that must be drawn. We must abolish ICE. And then we talk about other social justice issues. Let's talk about Palestine. The fact that we have a genocide occurring, and I'm the only candidate that's calling it a genocide. Julie and Colin refuse to call it a genocide. They have taken a combined $700,000 from AIPAC and the pro-Israel lobby. That's 700,000 reasons to vote against your best interests.
So if you are elected, what are your top priorities?
So my agenda is a very bold, progressive agenda. There's 10 platform issues that I'm running across the board. So one, we need a living wage, a minimum of $20 to $25 an hour. Julie actually just published an ad touting her support for the Raise the Minimum Wage Act. All that does is it raises the minimum wage to $9.50 an hour. The minimum wage has not been increased in over 17 years. That is not going to get the job done. We need to have a real minimum wage, a living wage of at least $20 to $25 an hour. Federally, across the board. And it would be adjusted to inflation, it would be adjusted to cost of living, so certain regions that would actually be higher. On top of that, we need to make sure that we provide free universal health care through Medicare for all. We need to provide free public education. When I say free, quality public education, that means both an investment in free public trade schools, free public colleges, free public universities, very much like in Europe, but also a national teacher fund that will increase teacher salaries. I think it is an atrocity that ICE agents get $50,000 signing bonuses and make six-figure salaries when they get started out. Teachers are lucky to get a $1,000 signing bonus and won't even make $50,000 a year as a total salary. So I think that's something we need to legislate and fix, just like we did nationally with the child school lunch program that the federal government came in and helped on the education side. Number four, we need to invest in affordable housing. I want to build millions and millions of affordable housing units all across the country with rent control, similar to what Senator Sanders has proposed. Number five, we need to raise Social Security benefits, a minimum of $200 a month, by raising the cap on Social Security. If we do that, we can actually take care of our seniors, give them a life of dignity. Right now, they're really struggling. Prescription drug prices are out of control. I think that there needs to be more regulation of the prescription drug industry. I think that right now, Big Pharma controls our politicians. Going back to the question you asked earlier, Jack, why am I running? I am not bought by the corporations. I have not run my entire life in politics, and now I'm not beholden to any special interest. I will make sure that these pharmaceutical companies are not profiting off of the American people who cannot afford to pay for the drugs to live a healthy life. And then on top of that, I want to invest in a Green New Deal. That's something that differentiates me from these candidates. I believe in a Green New Deal for a sustainable future, not only for Texas, but for all of America and all of the world. If we don't invest in a Green New Deal, we might not have a future to invest in. You've seen the weather out here in Texas lately. It's crazy, Jack. It doesn't make any sense. Something must be done to help and preserve our environment. I already mentioned to you my stance on the genocide in Gaza. It's a very different stance than what Julie and Colin are willing to do. My stance on abolishing and prosecuting ICE, which is very different from reforming ICE. ICE is an institution that's literally recruiting people from the white supremacy movement. It cannot be fixed. It must be abolished and removed. And then I want to end the Patriot Act, mass surveillance. I want to also end Citizens United and end the control of corporate PACs on our government. Those are the 10 issues that I'm running on.
So you said a lot, so let's talk about them.
Sure.
First, if you get to Congress,
Yes.
you're one of 535 members.
100%.
So how is it that you are going to pass this legislation? Because you're going to have a Republican president in office.
Of course.
So how are you going to get this passed realistically?
Absolutely. So I think that the goal for us as progressives across the country is to have a progressive blue wave in 2026. And we're already seeing that it's happening. We've seen just recently in the New Jersey special election, Ron Aliyah has come out and won as a progressive. We just saw right here in Texas, Taylor Amet won in a plus 20 Republican seat that was won by Donald Trump. He won as a progressive, not just a Democrat, but a progressive, union-supported Democrat. Then we have Christian Menefee over in Houston, another Democrat that's very progressive that once again won. So we will need progressives to get the agenda across. And to your point, yes, we have a Republican president, but you can overcome the veto. And that's something that we could potentially do. But I think that
requires a lot of votes.
Of course.
Wow, it's certainly more than a majority.
Of course. And to my point, there are certain things that we still should fight for. Are we going to just send people to Congress and say, okay, you're not going to fight for anything because it's not possible for it to get easily approved or easily actually accomplished? I don't think that's the way we should be approaching this. I think when we talk about the future of our country and we talk about our elected officials, people going in should not be negotiating before they actually get into Congress. Of course, when I get to Congress, I'm going to go and make negotiations. Of course, I'm going to make compromises. But there are certain things that we cannot compromise on. And those things are the foundations of our democracy that are under attack. And so when it comes to things like abolishing ICE, when I first launched my campaign, which by the way, I launched my exploratory committee back in May. I officially launched in August. This was many months before any of the three other candidates in this race even announced. The other three came in December. I was running in the original District 33 against Mark Vesey. He retired. And I had two candidates that don't even live in the district. Julie and Colin jump in, and Carlos decided to jump in as well. My point in saying this is that, when I get to Congress, I will make the negotiations. I will make the compromises. But there are certain things like abolishing ICE that we cannot compromise on. When I launched my campaign in May and we started to explore, people said abolishing ICE is an extreme perspective. You shouldn't say abolishing ICE. But back then, we didn't see people literally being murdered on the streets by ICE agents. We didn't see the brutality of what's happening with protesters, the brutality that's happening against the American people. And now abolishing ICE is no longer seen as an extreme stance by many Americans. It's something that I would say is a simple line in the sand issue. Just like the genocide, abolishing ICE is a minimal point that if you're a Democrat running for Congress, you should be signing on to it. And unfortunately, Julie and Colin do not.
So let me ask you about health care. You
Sure.
said you support Medicare for all.
Yes.
So single payer, right?
Yes.
Universal?
Yes.
How are you paying for all that?
Well, one thing, why
The United States is already 38 trillion, or close to 38 trillion in debt. So how do you pay for that?
Of course. So, there's a lot of ways that we can pay for the progressive. It's not just the healthcare. You probably noticed I talked about education, I talked about housing. These things all cost money.
Right.
So there's a number of different ways that have been proposed by the Progressive Caucus in the past, which I all support. Things like making sure that we start to tax microtransactions by Wall Street. Whenever a short a call that is being made by any sort of speculative contract by a private equity firm or a big Wall Street bank. Whenever they make any of these microtransactions throughout the day, which they make many of these transactions, and they make billions and billions of dollars off these transactions, there's a small tax that's going to be added to them. Right now, there is no tax on each of these speculative contracts that are being made. That is just one tax. Now, how much has Tesla paid in taxes in the last 5 years? You want to humor me?
Well, this is our interview, so
just
if you have the answer, go
well,
ahead
it's
and say
nothing.
it.
It's
Yeah.
nothing, Jack. But it's not just Tesla. My point is, so many corporations in this country don't pay any taxes. And what about the people that are behind those corporations? We have someone who's about to become a trillionaire. Are they paying their fair share? Are they paying their fair share in taxes? The reality is, if you're not paying any taxes, I don't know how that's a fair share at all. If we actually had people pay their fair share, we could afford these programs. Now let's go back into the specific point on healthcare. Why is healthcare so expensive in the country? Let's get to the root of the problem, the root cause analysis. The reality is, the reason why healthcare is so expensive in this country is, one, most people don't have health insurance. And these people end up going to emergency rooms for their care. They never go see a primary care physician. If they saw a primary care physician on a yearly basis, the number of people going into emergency rooms and the cost of on our healthcare system would go significantly down. That's number one. Number two, we all know that the major cost of healthcare is actually the insurance companies. The insurance companies which make hundreds of billions of dollars of profit off of being the middleman in healthcare. Now, if we remove this middleman that's making all this profit and we recirculate that into providing healthcare and then provide people with basic things like primary care visits, we can significantly decrease the overall cost of medicine in the United States and make it make much more sense.
So are you talking like a system like we see in Great Britain or Canada, for example?
I think I'm not going to just compare it to one specific country, because obviously there's the Scandinavian model, there's the Canadian model, there's the British model, there's the French model, and they all have their nuances. I'm not sure if I'm like bought onto just one of them and I say, okay, we should just copy what they're doing there, because in reality there are problems with those models. In Britain, there are positives where people are able to get healthcare, but specialists sometimes they don't get to see their physician in time, which creates an issue. My point in saying this is, right now the healthcare system in our country is broken, and I think we need to see radical change to the healthcare system. And as someone who comes from a family of physicians, both my mom and dad are physicians, my wife is a physician, my brother's a physician, physicians all across the country are very concerned, because healthcare should not be a privilege. The reality is, healthcare debt, healthcare bankruptcies are at an all-time high. Healthcare should be a human right, especially in the richest country on earth.
I know that affordability is certainly a big issue. And
Yes.
You've talked about education, you've talked about healthcare. Is there anything else that you would do to address this if you get elected?
Absolutely. We're in an affordability crisis in this country. And I think part of it too is the things that labor unions are pushing for, and the things that are part of my platform, like raising the minimum wage. I think that just starts, because people think that the minimum wage is what teenagers use, and something that, it's just if you're in high school or something, that's when you get the minimum. Reality is, there might be people that might be in their 20s and 30s. I've met people at the dollar store, for instance. I met a cash register. She actually was a single mother, and she had one child, and her only job, her main job was working at the dollar store, but then she had some other jobs on the side as well. Even though she worked 40 hours a week, her wage was $8.50 an hour. It's not the minimum wage, but it's a little bit just above that. And the only reason she's able to take care of her kids is because she lives with her parents. She can't afford her own housing. This is the reality for so many Americans, especially in District 33. District 33 is a very poor district. It is a district that's a very young district. Average age is 32. Income is not very high compared to districts across the country. For a district like this, we need someone who's going to really fight this affordability crisis. We talked about it, some of the cities that are in our area, they've recently outlawed homelessness. They've banned homelessness. They've criminalized homelessness, as though that's a solution to homelessness. I always like to say that We shouldn't be fighting the war in Venezuela or attacking Iran or Syria or all these other places. The only war that I would want to fight is a war on homelessness. And the way we do that is by building affordable housing units. Part of the Green New Deal could be green housing, and green housing through a public-private partnership that would allow us to provide millions of affordable housing units. And I say affordable, I'm not saying free public housing, because I don't want more projects that get run down and are low quality. I'm talking about affordable housing units that are invested in by the United States government, but then return some rent that then goes into taking care of those units and making sure that they're quality housing units for the people that live there.
You talked a little bit about the district. The
Yes.
33rd is now a Latino majority district.
Yes.
What are you doing to court Latino voters?
Well, first thing I would say is the old District 33 was also a majority Latino district, so that has not changed.
It was a coalition district, but now definitely more so a Latino majority.
Yeah, yes, both were around 50%. I think it was like maybe 48 or 49% Latino, but which is pretty close. And now it's 55% Latino, with 50% of the district being registered voters that are Latino. I think a major part of our campaign is to outreach the Latino community. All of our materials are in Spanish and English. Our website from day one has been in English and Spanish, which I cannot say the same for my opponents, or even Mark Vesey when he was in this seat. His website was never in Spanish. All of our materials, anything that you see, will always be in English and Spanish. We have to make sure that in our country, which is a bilingual country, everything should be accessible to everyone that lives there. So for us, our messaging, everything that we do, our team is very inclusive. My team is representative of our district. We have a very strong group of Latino team members who are powering this people-powered campaign. And on top of that, we are going and talking to the voters in their language. So the majority of my canvassers actually are bilingual. They speak English and Spanish. And we go and talk to the voters in their language so that we can explain to them why we can provide the best vision for them and the best future for them.
You talked about Gaza.
Yes.
And do you support the president's plan to rebuild Gaza? And should Hamas be forced to disarm?
So first off, when it comes to the president's plan to rebuild Gaza as some sort of tourist site, or I'm not really sure what he has a lot of different plans that he's thrown out there when it comes to this. I don't think that we should profiteer off of this or try to displace the people of Gaza. I think that Gazans should have their right to own self-determination. I think that the reality is, right now we are supporting an apartheid state.
Why do you say that?
Why do I say it's an apartheid state? Well, I mean, most of
the evidence doesn't show that.
There's plenty of evidence that shows that it's...
I mean, there are Muslims in
Yes.
Israel, there are Christians in Israel, there are obviously Jews in Israel.
Sure.
They can take part in the economy, they're part of the government. So how is that an apartheid state?
So what about the Palestinians that live in Israel?
If they are citizens of Israel.
What makes them a citizen?
Well, if they're in Israel and they are Israeli
So
citizens.
according to Israel, what is the map of Israel?
So you don't like the map?
No, I'm asking you.
Well,
what is the map?
but I'm asking you. I mean, I'm asking you.
According to Israel, the map includes Gaza and the West Bank. And my question to you is,
It doesn't include Gaza. They got out of Gaza back in 2006. They left. So again, why do you call it an apartheid state?
Well, let's see here. What is the definition of an apartheid state? They have walls that separate every single part of where the Palestinians live. The Palestinians that live in what is Israel, which I don't think Palestine exists. They haven't recognized the Palestinian. Does Israel recognize the Palestinian state?
Well, there is none.
Oh, that's exactly it. So if there's no Palestinian state, the Palestinians that live within Israel have no rights. And they are currently being starved. 1.8 million of them are facing starvation.
In Israel?
Well, you just said there's no Palestinian state according to Israel. So where do they live? Where do the people?
Well, they were in Gaza. And
so what is Gaza then?
Well, that's a good question. What was Gaza? Israel got out of Gaza completely. They withdrew.
So they didn't withdraw. Israel has had a military presence in Gaza for a very long time. They've been guarding all of Gaza. There's multiple checkpoints within Gaza. Gaza has been a militarized zone for a very long time. And the same with the West Bank, where there's settlers that are taking land from the Palestinian people. There is a two-tiered system in what is Israel. If you're taking land from these people, you're building walls, forcing them to live within wires. I think there's no more clarity that there is an apartheid state than Israel. It follows every single example. It's actually worse than what South Africa was. That is the way Israel is treating. The way that the Israeli soldiers murder babies, women, and children, use children as sniper targets. It is obscene.
That hasn't been documented.
It has been documented.
Let me ask you about
It has been documented by
October
Doctors Without Borders, by Amnesty International, by Human Rights Watch, by the ICC and the ICJ. Every international organization has documented it, Jack.
So were the
Who hasn't documented
Let
it?
me ask you about the October 7th attack.
Yes.
What did you think of that?
It's a tragedy. But what about everything that's happened since October 7th? Let me ask you that, Jack. What about the 120,000 people that have been murdered? What do you think about them, Jack?
Well, those numbers haven't been verified.
Okay,
and I don't want to turn this into a debate.
This isn't a debate, Jack.
Well,
but
it is.
You're not putting any effort on the Palestinian people. This is the problem with our politicians. This is why I'm running for Congress. You are the reason why I'm running for Congress, Jack.
Don't put me in that
No,
position.
you are.
Well,
You're saying that Gazans don't matter? That their lives don't matter?
You're putting words in my mouth.
I just
you
told
are putting words in my mouth, and that's not fair.
Okay.
You are making statements, and I am asking you about what you are saying. That's what a reporter's job is.
Sure.
I'm not trying to debate, but when you make statements that are not factually accurate, then I have to ask about that.
Okay.
That's my job,
Sure.
okay?
Sure.
So let's clear the air and get that straight, number one. Number two, I asked you about, you said that it's an apartheid state. I asked you what evidence. And so we had a discussion about that.
Sure.
Plain and simple. So I just want to set the record straight there.
No, but
okay?
how many people have died in Gaza?
Well, there's the only numbers that we have seen come out are
Sure.
from Hamas, and the ministry that controls the Palestinian numbers. Okay,
so-
on the health authority. So those are the numbers.
But they were accepted by the Israeli government.
That's not true.
It is
The
true.
120,000 is, first there were 70,000, it's a moving target, okay? So there
So
are a
even
lot
if
of different numbers. There are a lot of different numbers, and there hasn't been verification.
Well,
The
so what number
president
what number do you stand
President
by?
Trump said the other day that 58,000 members of Hamas were killed. Okay, is that accurate?
I don't know. I don't
Well,
know.
that's what the president said.
I mean, the president has said a lot of things. Have everything
I'm
that he
just,
said
I'm
been
just
accurate?
saying the numbers are all over the place. Can we agree on that?
Well, can we agree on one thing? Haven't there been some innocent women, children, and babies that have died in
Well,
Gaza?
it's war.
I'm asking you, have they?
Yes.
Is
yes.
that a tragedy?
Any death is a tragedy like that, but that's war. I mean, do you think Hamas was justified in attacking Israel?
I will not stand by any attack on any innocent civilians, by
Okay.
any individual, whether it's Hamas, whether it's Israel. It's wrong. We need to
Okay.
all agree that anything,
Okay.
any innocent lives
So
matter.
should Hamas be forced to disarm?
I think that is not even a question that's worth considering. Of course, I want peace in the Middle East.
Okay.
I mean, that we are on the same page on this.
Okay.
But Jack, the thing that abhors me is that people do not put the value on Palestinian lives. And that's what I'm seeing missing from what you were just saying. When I told you that there have been so many Palestinian deaths, and the fact that it's a tragedy, this is the same reason that actually brought me to run for this race, Jack. I want to bring it in now. We actually reached out to Congressman Mark Vesey. We told him to change his votes on the Palestinian issue.
And what did he say?
Well, he said Gaza was good for the economy.
Gaza was good for the economy.
Yes.
What does that mean?
That sounds very strange, right? But look at who's in our district. Military manufacturers.
Okay.
And so my point in saying this is we have tone-deaf representatives that are representing us. And the reality is we have an apartheid state. We have a country that's committing terror, a country that has wanton killed, we will not agree on the number, but a number of innocent Palestinian women, children, and babies. To this day, there are 1.8 million people starving. They are literally stealing land from people in the West Bank. The same tactics that are being perpetrated on the American people here by ICE were taught to them by the IDF. These are all things that are documented. All the facts that I told you are documented by international organizations and by multiple press organizations throughout the world, including Haaretz, which is one of the major Israeli press organizations. So if the independent media and independent human rights organizations have called this a genocide, have called Israel an apartheid state, have said that these human rights violations must end, then how can anyone stand on the opposite side of that? And that's why I'm running, Jack, because the people I'm running against don't have the humanity or care or concern to see that the value of a life in America is the same as the value of a life in Israel, as the same as the value of the life of Gaza. And that's what's missing.
So what do you want to see then?
I want to see peace. And the only way we're going to see peace is for a right of return and a true democracy, an end to the apartheid state. Everyone, if Israel is truly the greatest democracy in the Middle East, then every single person should have an equal right to vote.
So you're saying a right of return, so everybody's allowed back into, or everyone's allowed into Israel.
Yes, yes.
Well,
and let the people decide. Let them self-determinate. We shouldn't make the decision.
So
Trump should decide.
So the Jewish state the Jews should not have their own state.
Oh no, it's a state for everyone. The Jewish. You just told me earlier when you were telling me about the Jewish democracy of Israel. You said that whether you're Israeli, whether you're Arab, whether you're Palestinian, you have the same rights.
They have been in Israel as citizens. You have Israeli Arabs,
right,
etc.
Sure.
But what you're talking about, most people think, the right of return is the end of a Jewish state.
I don't think it would be the end of a Jewish state.
But that's what most people think. In Israel, certainly. They think, so the Jews are not allowed to have their own state.
Well, first off, I don't think that that's what I'm saying. You literally just told me earlier in this discussion when I was calling Israel an apartheid state, you said the Palestinian Arabs and that they have the equal rights of citizenship. All I'm saying is that everyone should have an equal right to citizenship. And anyone that wants to go there, whether you're Jewish, whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, it shouldn't matter. Why should we discriminate between who is allowed to go to their land? And we shouldn't allow people currently to continue to just show up. Jack, how would you feel if I just showed up to your house and say, hey, I'm Native American and this used to be my land, or whatever excuse you want to come up with, and just kick you out of your house and say, I'm just taking this as a settler of your land. That's what settlers are doing. The settlement needs to end. And I think that when I say right of return, I mean every single person. If we say that Israel is the greatest democracy in the Middle East, it should actually be the greatest democracy in the Middle East. We should allow everyone to live there in freedom and give everyone equal rights, equal protections. And there should be no more of this abuse of individuals, no more brutalization. The walls need to come down. I would say that it should be a democracy, a plurality. And of course, it would be a country that would be ruled by people from all different backgrounds. And I think that would be a true democracy. I don't think that what I'm saying is something that would take away from the democracy that it should be. If it's going to be a democracy should give equal rights to all people.
One other question, and that is on Venezuela.
Sure, Jack.
Nicolas Maduro was captured by the U.S.,
yes,
brought to this United States to be held on criminal drug trafficking charges. Do you agree with that decision or oppose it? Why? And what do you want to see happen next in Venezuela?
I think it sets a very dangerous precedent, Jack. I mean, to go and kidnap a sitting foreign head of state is very, very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. Think about the potential repercussions of that. I mean, any other foreign leader, China could go do that in Taiwan. Putin could do that with Zelensky. Now there's a precedent to go and just kidnap a foreign head of state. I don't think that that's the right mechanism. I also don't believe that we should ever go and declare war on a country without proper congressional approval. We also should not be allowed to do it unless there's a clear and present danger to the United States. We should be following the Constitution of the United States. If we went to Venezuela and we followed the proper rules, then that was a decision of Congress, and that was a decision of the proper methodologies that are set up for the American people. Unfortunately, that's not what we did in Venezuela. Donald Trump went to the leaders of all the major oil corporations and told them, hey, I'm going to go take over Venezuela's oil. He then went and declared and attacked Venezuela, took over their oil, and then he told Congress about it. That's not how it works. You can't just go attack foreign countries. Our quote-unquote president has literally attacked 9 different countries in the last year. 9 countries. And for me, that's unacceptable. I think that he needs to be held accountable. And these are impeachable offenses because if you take away the power of the War Powers Act from Congress and you don't follow the proper regulations, that's a major issue.
Do you think President Trump should be impeached?
Oh, 100%. I don't know why he hasn't been impeached yet. He's committed so many crimes. I mean, I don't know why he hasn't released the Epstein files.
The Justice Department has released a lot.
They haven't released all of them. They were supposed to release how many, Jack? All of them, correct? Right.
I guess. I mean, millions of files have been released.
But they haven't released them all, and they've redacted a lot of things that were unnecessarily redacted, is what it seems like. But my point is, he has multiple reasons to have been impeached. One of them is the way that he went into Venezuela and the 8 other countries that he has attacked. You can't do that, Jack. We have checks and balances for a reason. You know that. I mean, I'm a believer in defending the Constitution of the United States. And to me, that's going to be very important.
Zeeshan Hafeez, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jack.
We appreciate it. Thank you.